Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 4 to 5. Eric Chilton here with Chad Silber and Lauren Coleman.
Hey, happy hump day, everybody.
We don't typically show this air quality map behind us right at the top of the show, but I mean, everybody is talking about it today, Eric.
It is. And one thing to note with this, because it can be misleading, these are hourly observations, so all of those little dots on that map show like a different little reporting station, right? Taking readings, and every hour it updates. And we went from orange, which is moderate, if you look at the top of that, or excuse me, code orange, which is kind of unhealthy, down to moderate. But that's only for the last hour. So the forecast still says a negative possibility of orange for the entire triad. So we're still in the orange as far as the air quality index. It's really confusing. But the hourly observations show that we're looking better, at least for the next hour, right?
As it changes hour by hour, could it change back to orange,
Yes.
where we see in the yellow here?
Yeah, we could actually, I mean, every hour it could go anywhere. And it's all because literally the winds are pulling down that smoke from Canada. So from mid-South Carolina north all the way up through the Northeast, it is a mess, especially in New York State. It's very bad up there.
It sounds as though the rain helped us today.
Yes, it did. And there's a possibility some of the future models, and we'll show you this in just a minute during the weather segment, but there's a possibility we could get better in the short term, but there's still, by Friday, we have to watch another little kind of a lobe of winds coming from the northwest that might pull down more smoke. So we're still watching.
It's definitely the story everybody's talking about today. All that smoke is causing issues along the eastern seaboard. You can see the impacts in D.C., New York City, and Ohio. More than a dozen states are under air quality alerts right now, all of them stemming from the wildfires burning in eastern Canada. This morning, listen to this, New York City was the second worst city on the planet for air quality, only behind Delhi, India.
The hazy smoke has traveled hundreds of miles to get to North Carolina, and we can definitely see it in the air today.
Health experts say you should stay inside as much as possible. WFMY News 2's Hannah Jeffries visited a Greensboro elementary school where they moved their outdoor activities inside today, Hannah.
Yeah, Chad, all of those smoke particles in the air are making it a little bit harder to see the Greensboro skyline tonight. That's because the triad is under a code red because of all of the smoke that's in the air. The Department of Environmental Quality encourages people to spend as little time as possible outside. And Washington Montessori School, elementary school that is in Greensboro, brought their all-day running event inside today. Air quality monitors say people should avoid heavy exercise outside during the code red. So school administration moved the event into the gym. Principal Paul Travers was surprised to learn a wildfire burning almost 1,000 miles away could impact us here in the Triad.
We had some outdoor ceremonies for our pre-K kindergarten students and our fifth graders. And as we were looking, we're like, it's really just really hazy, and kind of we weren't all abreast of what was going on. And later we found out like the impact of something thousands of miles away.
One class at a time lined up to make their way to the school's gym. Kindergarten through fifth grade students ran circles around classmates until they couldn't anymore. Physical education teacher Terry Jones was responsible for changing the original plan.
The little kids they're going to have to run quarters around the lap, not a whole lap because the track is pretty big. And the older kids are going to do a half lap, but the biggest kids, fourth and fifth, are going to do a whole lap. But with the air quality plus the rain possibility, which it did rain, we decided to bring it inside, and it's working well.
And a burn ban is also in place, so make sure you're not setting anything on fire outside because that would be adding to the problem. Live in Greensboro, I'm Hannah Jeffries, WFMY News 2.
Hannah, thank you. With all this smoke taking up the skies here in the Triad, your health could be impacted. That goes for all of us because a code red means it's bad for all. That's why we reached out to a Cone Health pulmonologist. She stresses people need to take the warning seriously. Dr. Nikita Desai says anyone may start feeling symptoms due to the air quality, but she says no one needs to panic about going outside.
That means that there's a potential for harm for all people, even if you don't have lung disease, even if you're not what we typically call a vulnerable population member. It's still very concerning.
We also asked Dr. Desai what can be done for those that have to work outside. What steps should these people take?
Now, there may be some people who have to be outside. There has to be some work that has to be done. I would usually recommend as much as possible to do this in times when the air temperature is not so high. And so as much as possible, that activity should be done earlier in the morning or late in the afternoon or evening after the sun's gone down to help mitigate some of that risk from air quality.
Dr. Desai stresses you don't need to panic about going outside. She says she's more worried about long-term air quality exposure over the years. And as we push ahead to tomorrow, we just learned minutes ago, Eric, that the rest of today and tomorrow there will be a code orange.
Yeah, so technically a code orange, and this is what we were talking about at the top of the show. In case you weren't with us, these are hourly observations. Every one of those little circles represents another area, little instrumentation basically, that will take the readings every hour. So for the last hour, the last observation, we actually moved into a moderate zone, which is better. If you look at the top, the little color code, that's one step down from that orange. However, we still end up, by definition, in that orange because that's the possibility for us, the worst case scenario, put it that way. And if you look at this, so now we're taking the futurecast here and looking at smoke data, and as we head into the overnight, it actually looks better. You see we're more in the green and blue than anything else. However, we still have to watch because as these winds shift a little bit more, when we're getting winds out of the southwest, that'll clear all this out, right? That'll push that smoke back to the north. We will not see that for a while, but it looks good in the short term. We just have to keep an eye on that. But the official air quality forecast, it's unhealthy for sensitive groups. That orange area, that's where we are for today and tomorrow. And again, we'll keep an eye on that because things change daily. But for us, this has helped, right? A lot of this rain has helped us tremendously. We see the scattered showers across the area now. We go out to a wider shot. That is part of a cold front that is sagging down over the area, which, again, as we mentioned, helps a little bit. But notice that front will continue pushing down to the south. And we're still getting that flow basically out of the north. And whether it's northwest or northeast, that's bringing down a lot of that smoke over the area. If you go up to New York State, the smoke up there is really difficult. In fact, it's the highest level of intensity for bad air quality that we've seen anywhere. We're going to watch that high pressure and see that position before we make that call as we head into Friday and into your weekend. We think by the weekend, though, things may look a little bit better. Tonight, that overnight low of 55 degrees with scattered clouds. Tomorrow, hazy sunshine and 77. We still have that air quality alert tomorrow. Friday, hazy sunshine, same story Saturday, go up to 78 and 81 for those 2 days. It's actually a nice weekend. Sunday, partly cloudy, 85. Next week, some rain on Monday. We'll stay in the low 80s where we should be for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tuesday, dry. Wednesday, only a 20% chance.
We're getting a better idea of the overall damage and vandalism from senior pranks in Alamance Burlington schools. The district sent us these photos today of the mess at several high schools tied to widespread pranks last week. District leaders say they've identified 86 students responsible. 82 of them aren't able to walk at graduation. The other 4 are underclassmen. Williams High School in Burlington had the worst damage, where students poured cement into toilets and urinals, causing $4,000 in damage. After the pranks, we talked to a self-described ringleader.
I would say think twice. Just think about the long-lasting damages that you could be doing and the repercussions that it could have. In the moment it might seem like it's really exciting, but later on it can have serious impacts on the school and the community around you.
You know, the school district said they wanted to get these new pictures out to the community just to show what they're dealing with. It is unbelievable, the amount of damage and just a mess.
Yeah, disgusting, disrespectful. I remember when these pictures came into the newsroom, I said, this is out of control. And I think not being able to walk at graduation, that's a fair punishment, I think. I mean, there's so many other things they could have done that didn't have to destroy property. And how did they get a moped onto the roof? That's another question that I have.
Right. And I mean, it's one thing, you see some of the pictures, I think even just the first one that we showed, just kind of a mess in the hallway, maybe some toilet paper, and people had put desks out there.
Yeah.
That's just a mess, right? That is not damage, where there was graffiti on one of the air conditioning units. I mean, some of this stuff really was outside of the realm of just a prank.
Absolutely, and even the dead fish throughout the campus, you just don't know how anybody could have reacted to that. I just think that is quite crazy, and I'm glad they've released these photos as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, switching gears now, today lawmakers gave the final approval to a bill that makes online sports betting legal. House lawmakers approved a bill a couple of hours ago, and it now heads to Governor Cooper's desk. The bill hands out a dozen licenses to take online sports bets and hands out of money to several North Carolina schools. UNCG, North Carolina A&T, and Winston-Salem State are among those schools. State lawmakers tried to legalize online sports gambling last year, but it failed failed by a few votes. Nearly 30 states have similar laws on the books.
A local state lawmaker introduced a bill targeting lawmakers who want to switch parties. Senator Michael Garrett, a Democrat representing Guilford County, introduced the bill that would call for a special election in the case of a lawmaker trying to switch parties after they've been elected. The bill would also protect campaign donors who want a refund if that lawmaker does switch parties. This bill is in response to Representative Tricia Cotham, who you might remember switched from a Democrat to a Republican, shifting the entire balance of power in the state legislature. It's important to note this bill won't do much, at least for now. Garrett is a Democrat in the minority, and it's not clear whether Republicans would support it. Also, it's too late in the session to introduce new bills, so it won't be considered until at least next year. We'll be right back.
So check this out. One of our Triad breweries was honored in a big way yesterday. Four Saints Brewery was chosen as one of the best in our state, and they are based just down the road in Asheboro. I spoke with owner Joe McCloskey, who says he actually found out when a coworker called him.
I was in the middle of a meeting actually doing some tap handle redesign, and I got a message from one of the guys that does some graphic design for us. And he was like, "Hey, congrats on the Southern Living accolades." And like, thanks, because last year we were named one of Southern Living's top 20 breweries in the South, and so I thought he was referring to that. And he said, "No, this article just came out." And so I got online and looked it up, and there was, Four Saints Brewing Company is one of the top 10 breweries in North Carolina.
Now, Four Saints has grown significantly over the past 8 or so years to rise to that A-list level in our state. McCloskey says that's no small feat, and they are definitely proud.
Seeing us on that list with Highland Brewing out in Asheville, Leah and her dad have done amazing things out there, really champion this whole thing that's happened in North Carolina over the past 10, 15 years. Really neat to see our brewery here in Asheboro being named alongside some, like you said, some of the OGs and we're just it's just a really fantastic honor for us.
So they're doing great, obviously, right? And their beer, when he started, I remember doing a segment with him when they first started. They've been around for about a year at that point. And he said the other breweries were so nice, which I didn't expect this, like in Asheville, some in Charlotte, kind of took him under their wing. And he said they helped us. They helped us learn how to do the industry. It's really nice they all help each other like that because they're competitors technically.
It's interesting you mentioned that because when I heard that they've only been around for 8 years, I'm like, that's a fairly new business. So I was thinking if somebody's looking to tap into this kind of business to study their work and what they're doing, but it looks like they're all kind of showing the tricks of the trade and sharing and supporting each other.
He said he would help, you know, if somebody starting out would call him. Yeah, I think that's great.
Could you imagine having the job where they're like, hey, we're going to need you to go to every single brewery in the state of North Carolina and taste all of the beer, see the atmosphere, talk to the people, and then come up with a list of the best.
Somebody that works for Southern Living goes, I'll take that.
I'll take that,
I'll
yeah.
take
That sounds
job.
like a great job.
And I mean, what a publication to have it in, too. I mean, it's one thing to be like on, I don't
A local
wanna,
thing.
Right, I don't
Yeah.
want to say anything. But yeah, I mean, Southern Living, everyone's heard of that, at least in the South. So
And they're big.
cool.
He said they're expanding. He told me some things I can't say on air, but he said we're waiting for some things to happen from a licensing and permit standpoint. And he said we're getting ready to grow again. So
Wow. So we
be
might
big.
maybe get a Greensboro location?
maybe we do a follow-up in
Okay.
maybe another 6 months to a year. We'll see. I can't say that. We'll be right back.
He's going to tell us during the
Yeah, I'll tell them.
He's staying loyal.
Well, let's talk about our temperatures too, and then we'll get to the smoke and discuss how that affects us, whether we get worse or better over the next short term, and maybe as we head through the end of the work week too. Right now, temperatures are cooperating here. It's cool, but 65 degrees in Burlington, that's way below normal. 65 in Greensboro and Asheboro. We have High Point at 66, along with Lexington. If you head to the south, though, we reached the 70-degree mark for Troy, and it looks like Pinehurst also getting warm there at 74. We're in the mid-60s, even back into Mount Airy. So here is our visible satellite. What does that mean? mean? This is an actual snapshot of the clouds from space. That's why you don't see the fancy background behind it. And if you look right above, right just up here where it says New York there, that's actually smoke, not clouds. The brighter, whiter areas of that graphic showing us the actual clouds, but you can see that plume of smoke pushing down to the south. Now, it helps with the particles and our particulate, they call it, in the atmosphere when we get some rain, which we're getting right now. That does help a little bit. But technically, from an air quality index standpoint, our forecast is still orange for today and tomorrow, with the primary pollutant being smoke, and that means it's unhealthy for people that have sensitive respiratory issues already. But still, this is something that we have to watch, because when you look at the hourly observations, we are still in the moderate, which is one step below the orange, thank goodness. So what that means is the air quality index is worst case scenario for us. Could we see this tick back up to orange or even down to the greens and blues? Yes, we could see that. But this is hour by hour we're watching it, in addition to the official forecast of orange. So just so you know what that means. Basically, this helps, right? We've got some scattered showers. We've had that on and off all day. We go out to a wider shot with the radar and we see a little bit more of this. That is a cold front, and it's pushing down from the north across the region. Winds behind that, as you might guess, are generally out of a northerly direction, and that's why we continue to see the smoke plume push its way to the south. For now, though, once you get past about the middle part of South Carolina, it's not quite as bad. We do see cooler air coming in the short term, but once all of that shifts a little bit further to the east and the high pressure starts to take control, we do see what we think by the weekend will be more of a southwesterly flow to our winds, and that's a better situation for us, right? So you look at the long-range outlook, we'll see hazy sunshine through the work week at least. So let's go with that for Thursday and Friday in the mid-70s, way below our normal of 83. 80 on Saturday, partly cloudy. That's when things turn around a little bit, we think. And then 20% chance of a shower Sunday and 84. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the low 80s. That is normal. 40% chance of rain Monday, and we'll dry out on Tuesday and Wednesday.
You and your family might have summer traditions, but they may not be as daring as the Galangs. They are a part of the Central Wisconsin Water Walkers, a water skiing act that performs every summer. They are about to begin their 27th season.
Routine is certainly not.
14-year-old Lexi and her 13-year-old sister Gia started water skiing when they were 2.
What's this, Perch?
I kind of remember because my little sister liked to do it before me and I was a little scared to do it.
It was really good knowing that everyone would help you out and make sure that you're doing good. So it wasn't that difficult because everyone was so nice and helpful.
Water skiing runs in the family, so it was only natural the pair follow in their wake.
We live on Lake Wassa and we have a cabin up north and we like to water ski. My dad water skis, my mom water skis, my grandpa water skis.
Gia has now become the teacher, showing other kids the tricks she learned to walk on water.
It's mainly just explaining everything and then helping them get up and get out in the water. Most of them are excited to try. Even if they fall, it's fun for them.
Both hope the Water Walkers is just the beginning of big things to come.
I'm gonna keep doing this team. Hopefully I get better and then someday I get to Team USA. And then when I'm older, I'm gonna wanna teach kids how to water ski. That's my goal.
Do you want to do this in high school, maybe eventually?
Well, I just would like to get to that because it's so much fun, so I don't want to give up this sport because I love it.
Wow.
I know Lauren and I were like, no, we won't be doing that anytime soon. So that may not be for most of us. But I asked you on Facebook, what's your family go to for a fun summertime activity? Carol said, celebrating the 4th of July with a cookout for the whole family. The 4th is my sister's birthday. My son's is the 5th, so we have 2 days of celebration and nothing better than spending time with the ones you love. Makes sense. Claire said, I love going to the gem mines in North Carolina. There are so many of them. Gloria said, boating. Everyone loves to watch all the shenanigans performed on the airhead, floats, cut up, and just enjoy each other. And Maureen says, hanging out in my pool and cooking out on the grill, playing cornhole and croquet, just being with family as much as possible. And Tracy says, going to the beach. Nothing is more calming than sitting on the beach, listening and watching the waves roll in. I would agree. When we saw the water skiing family in Wisconsin, and I asked Chad, being from Wisconsin, what do you think their weather is? Because it seems like it would be cold to me.
Right, so I looked at the water temperature, they were on Lake Wassa, 66 degrees.
Okay.
So I don't
cold,
know.
though.
That's not as bad as you were before. You were probably 20. I was like,
right.
I would
It'd be
not
frozen
be in there.
then. No, that's cold. I mean,
Yeah.
cool. That's very cold. Too cold for North Carolinians, I'll tell you that.
Right, yeah. I love all sorts of family stuff when it comes to, we were talking about the family summer activities. I go home around the 4th and we love to be out boating in 66-degree weather or 66 water temperature, just grilling out and really just spending family time together.
When I was younger, I really enjoyed going to my grandparents every summer because they live about 45 minutes outside of Myrtle Beach. So we would always have a beach day or a beach week, and we would go shopping one day, or maybe we would do dinner, and then we would do a beach day. My grandparents would even get in the water with us. But
That's
they're a little
fun.
older now, so we haven't had one of those bigger
Sure.
family beach trips in a while.
So for me, with my family now, because growing up, we would go to Myrtle or some beach. Wrightsville or Myrtle were kind of our two. We'd go once a summer, and that was pretty much it. But for us, we live for my family now. We live for our 1 week beach trip. We do a solid week at one of the smaller beaches, usually like a Holden or an Oak Island or something like that. And my wife and I just live for it because you know what? We don't do anything. We don't sightsee. We go to restaurants at night and we eat in with lunch and we just relax. And it is so much fun. See, the older you get, the less you want to be out in the middle of all that mess.
Sometimes it's just nice to just get away, get out of the
is.
city, and that's what it's all about. Not always having an activity, to do.
Leave that city limit sign.
My city was about 1,500 people, so you actually got it more populated once you got to the beach.
There's more people there than at home.
Yes, that's right.
Makes sense. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Eric Chilton here with Lauren Coleman and Chad Silver. I threw you a curve, didn't I? I said Lauren's name second and Chad saluted.
Oh, really?
Me.
Yeah, and then I waved on your name.
Oh, really?
I flipped you,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I honestly don't ever realize the order in which you say.
I think
That's
we're
right.
just used
Never.
to what time we're going to wave.
That's
so.
exactly right.
Because as you were saying it, I'm like, I definitely waved on Chad Silver's name.
So when I do the 9 a.m., I can't tell you the number of times that I've almost said Chad and Lauren when it's Tracy and Megan. And, it's like everything gets so shifted around.
Yeah. Are you always in the middle, though?
Yeah, well, we have a 4-shot with Christian, so I'm usually right here. Yeah.
Clearly, it's way before I wake up, so I don't watch it.
Chad stays up till the 9 a.m.
Yeah,
almost.
that's right, yeah.
That's about true.
Okay, so here's, this doesn't look too bad for Winston-Salem.
Yeah, actually, we have kind of shifted down just a half step, so we are in a moderate, or it's yellow if you look at the chart. Moderate category, we have gone down from orange. Now, that is just for the hour, right? Every hour we take another reading, so it can go up or down, but the forecast for today is still orange, meaning worst case scenario, it's unhealthy for sensitive groups that have respiratory issues. We're not in the red anymore, so that's good for now.
Okay, all right.
Alrighty, more on that in just a second.
All right, for the third day, investigators in Winston-Salem are keeping tight-lipped about an unusual investigation. Even though rain has impacted their search today, we saw several law enforcement groups out on Everidge Road where they have been all week doing some sort of investigation. Forsyth County District Attorney Jim O'Neill would only tell us they've got lots of work to do.
In a little over an hour, law enforcement officials from several triad organizations will meet. Guilford County Sheriff Danny Rogers, Chief John Thompson, and Chief Travis Stroud will be there to spread awareness about safe gun storage. The law enforcement agencies will also start handing out a limited number of gun locks and safes.
It's part of Governor Cooper's initiative he unveiled on Monday called NC Safe, which is an acronym for Secure All Firearms Effectively. Cooper says rising gun-related deaths and injuries among children prompted the idea. The state says 116 North Carolina children died by guns in 2021.
People don't want to see their child in a pool of blood accidentally shot. People don't want their guns used for suicide. They don't want their guns stolen to be used in the commission of a felony.
There's also a program in a number of school districts focused on educating students about gun safety.
The Greensboro Police Department is coming up with new ways to attack violent crime. They formed the Violent Crime Reduction Team. Their duties differ from a police officer. Instead of responding to calls, team members respond on their own and investigate cases involving firearms.
When a patrol officer responds to a shooting, they are going to basically take a report, and they solve cases, but these guys take those cases along with our crimes against persons. Those detectives investigate aggravated assaults, and they kind of work in unison to solve the case and charge the appropriate offenders.
Since March, Captain Anthony Price says the team has helped reduce firearm crimes by 19% and have taken 100 illegal guns off the street.
Guilford County schools leaders are getting an in-person update on several new schools under construction. They're touring 5 schools this week, which are part of voter-approved bond money. One of those schools, Peck Expeditionary Learning, formerly Peck Elementary. These are artist renderings of what it'll eventually look like. The new school will have modern classrooms and technology. Other schools getting a rebuild include Brooks Global and Kaiser Middle.
Well, we checked the forecast for you. Temperatures right now, we're actually in the mid-60s, so very cool. Our normal high is in the lower 80s this time of the year, and we're going to get a little cool tonight. We think we'll drop down with partly cloudy skies, and by the way, the rain chances will start to diminish into the overnight period and into tomorrow morning, I should say, really. That's when we see the rain start to exit, but going down to the mid-50s for lows tonight, and then tomorrow you can see back up into those mid to upper 70s. Hazy sunshine, because we still see that code orange in effect for tomorrow. Here's the official forecast. The air quality forecast is unhealthy in the orange here for today and tomorrow. Now, again, we've been talking about this. This is the hourly observations, which have ticked us down to the yellow. That's good. That's moderate. But again, that's hour by hour. The official forecast, meaning worst case scenario, is that we could be in an orange, code orange. Here's how you look at it if you want to put the oranges and the blues and all of that on a map, okay? Now, let's go into the overnight period. Did you notice that one little area just kind of skirted skirted by the triad there where we could see some more unhealthy air. So a lot of this is circulating around the winds, around that high pressure ridge and the low to the north, and that's pulling down that smoke into our area. This is Thursday at 7:30 at night, but notice, see how it starts to move back down across the triad again as we head into Friday afternoon. It is something we'll be watching. We have scattered showers out there today, been kind of hovering around. That's part of a cold front that is helping to push some of that rain through. Again, we think by tomorrow morning or by mid-morning, let's say at the latest, most of this rain will be south of our area as that front drifts by. So long range outlook, 7-day, going hazy sunshine Thursday and Friday, partly cloudy for your weekend. We're in the mid to upper 70s for Thursday, Friday, low 80s Saturday. Another rain chance comes in, but it's only at 20% on Sunday and a high of 84. Better chance Monday at 40%, but we're in the low 80s for the first half of next week and drying out for Tuesday and Wednesday.
So far this year, more than 1 million acres in 15 states have burned in wildfires. According to the National Interagency Fire Center, for many who stay inside to avoid the smoke, air conditioners can actually help filter the indoor air as they bunker down at home. But how effective are they and for how long? Brandon Lewis verifies.
16 states in the U.S. are battling at least one active wildfire. People who live near fires are encouraged to stay indoors to avoid breathing air contaminated with smoke, because it can irritate your eyes, nose, and throat and lead to long-term health problems. Oregon officials recommend running your air conditioning if you have one. But can air conditioners really filter out smoke from wildfires? Let's verify. Our sources are the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers, the California Air Resources Board, or CARB, and the Environmental Protection Agency. You'll probably see the most smoke in the air while a fire is actively burning, but CARB says smoke and the pollutants it contains can linger in the air for weeks or even months, depending on the weather and size of the fire. The EPA recommends keeping the windows closed to limit how much smoke gets into your home, but even then, smoke can still get inside through bathroom and kitchen fans that vent to the outside, or through small openings and cracks around windows and doors. This is where our sources say a window or split system AC can help, because they do not pull in air from the outside. Instead, they cool indoor air by first running it through a filter. Filters are rated from 1 to 16 on a scale called MERV. A higher number means the filter is more effective at catching toxins, like those found in smoke. The American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers tells Verify you'll need a filter with a MERV rating of at least 13 to help during wildfire conditions, and you'll need to replace it at least every 2 days because it will be catching a lot of particles. So, yes, air conditioners can filter out wildfire smoke from within your home, if you use high enough grade filters and replace them frequently. The EPA also suggests people who live in wildfire-prone areas ensure there's a tight seal between window ACs and the window. Those who don't have AC can use a portable air cleaner to help filter during wildfires. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
After a medical emergency on the field last year, Damar Hamlin is trying to make sure everyone knows how to do CPR. The Buffalo Bills hosted a CPR training event at their stadium today. Volunteer first responders helped train people, all part of an effort inspired by Hamlin after his sudden cardiac arrest.
You know, growing up playing sports, I never really remember ever thinking about where an AED was or ever thinking about, you know, CPR training. As we learned from my personal experience, it is very important and it is life-changing.
It's a cause many others care about too. For example, Carolyn Musel watched her friend die from a medical emergency. She wanted to learn more so she could help others.
All I could think about is what if? What if something happened again to someone I know?
Hamlin says his organization plans to eventually host CPR training in cities across the country. The impact has been so widespread. I mean, even here at News 2, after all this happened with him, we did CPR training. We had first responders come in and teach us how to do it. And I don't think you realize the importance of knowing how to do it until you need to use it. But I think it's been so beneficial.
One of the things that I think should happen is they should just make it mandatory in schools across the country. Make it a part of the curriculum. You know, when you take health and PE, put it in the health segment, or, you know, say you have to pass the certification in order to get required, because I looked it up, only takes a few hours to get certified, but you could add years onto somebody else's life in case you're ever in that situation.
Think about Damar Hamlin as, so now if, you know, coming back to football, that would be iffy. I mean, I don't know if I would do that if I were him, because I'd be so scared and nervous about it. But now, if this becomes his job, that he's traveling across country and teaching people CPR, what a gratifying, I mean, you're saving lives every day, possibly, at your work, if that's his job.
Yeah, and just something that, a skill that everybody can learn and use. You just never know when it will be available. I'm glad that he's taking something that happened to him, you know, a tragic event, and using it to do so much good.
And it was so easy to learn.
Yes, doesn't take any time.
It was actually kind of fun too. Like if you get a group together, and I mean, you make it in like an actual outing, an event.
An event, right.
And I mean, I think I took more away from it because it was just very casual, and this is how you do it.
It's very fun. All right, take a break. We'll be right back.
Two more Republicans have entered the race for the presidency. Former Vice President Mike Pence made his run official in Iowa today.
During his speech, Pence says his vision for the country and former President Trump's are different. He also brought up the January 6th riots, saying it was a tragic day in the life of our nation.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie launched his campaign yesterday, and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is expected to enter the race later this week.
Federal regulators say a once popular baby pillow that was taken off the market 2 years ago is now linked to at least 10 infant deaths in the U.S. Boppy's newborn lounger was originally recalled in 2021 after 8 deaths were reported with its use due to a risk of suffocation. The company and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission are urging caregivers to stop using the pillow, and they're asking online marketplaces like Facebook to crack down on any attempts to resell secondhand pillows on their websites. We do have more information on our website, what to do if you still have one of these baby loungers.
Drug maker Merck is suing the federal government over its plan to allow Medicare to negotiate prices for a handful of drugs. In the lawsuit, Merck called the plan extortion and a sham. Some patient advocacy groups have also slammed the lawsuit. The Secretary of Health and Human Services, meantime, says the law is on our side. We'll be right back.
There is an infestation in the Carolinas. There is a program to save the trees from an invasive species of moths. Let's connect the dots to find out how they're doing it.
North Carolina working to reduce the population of invasive moths. Let's connect the dots. Spongy moths have been around the United States since the late 1860s. The moths feed off one of the most beautiful things about the Carolinas, our trees. Experts say after a few years, they can actually kill the trees. The USDA estimates it affects the economy by $30 million each year. The Department of Agriculture is managing the population not by killing them, but by disrupting their mating rituals. It's an organic treatment made up of things like wax, vegetable oil, and water. It's released out of an airplane flying overhead, similar to mosquito treatments. Experts say it's not harmful to the garden, pets, or people. And that is connecting the dots.
Among all the bugs and insects out there, people are most scared of spiders. Arachnophobia is one of the most common phobias on the planet. Across the pond, the London Zoo is on a mission to help people overcome their anxiety. Experts believe arachnophobia could come from a childhood trauma involving spiders or a fear passed on by a parent. Zookeeper Dave Clark has helped more than 5,000 people shed their dread. The one-day course mixes psychotherapy with hypnosis and even interacting with the eight-legged creature.
Well, I need that doctor to help me because I do not like spiders. So I asked you on Facebook, what bugs or animals scare you most? Lisa Phillips says, where should I start? I'm allergic to bees. I hate bugs, period. No reason. Don't like frogs, lizards, or snakes. Nicole, centipedes. All the tiny legs make my skin crawl. David Cornelius, spiders. Usually I can see snakes coming, but a spider will pop up out of anywhere. And then Lynn, camelback crickets. Anything that can jump over my head, walk up a wall, and upside down on my ceiling is definitely a problem for me. Have you ever seen one, Lauren Coleman? I have not, and I'm glad I haven't. And then Mark Barker says, my ex-wife and her attorney.
I don't know if he's saying that's an animal or what's going on there.
Yeah, which one is worse?
Right?
Hopefully they're not watching, Mark.
All right, so you want to see me lose my mind, it's when I walk through a spider web outside.
Goodness.
That's when I act like a fool.
And then you can't see it, and no matter what,
And
you feel like it's still on
in
you.
your hair.
And when people probably see you dancing in the parking lot, like, what's going on
And
with
y'all are
that guy?
feeding a miracle grow out there. Like, these spiders are huge.
So do you remember where that one web was? So when we walk out to the weather garden, there's one step down, and between a pole and that spider was that big around, and I almost walked into the web one night when I was filling in for Tim, and the web went right to there, and I went, whoa, and he was waiting right up there. Like, come on in, children.
We would have gone out there and you would have been spun up in a web.
The worst is when you're in the car and there's a bee or some type of bug. So I do not do bugs. And when I was a child, I remember this happened twice. My parents are driving and a bee's in the car, and I'm like jumping through the front seat.
They're like,
they're swerving and they're like,
oh my God.
cut that out. But I don't like bees. I don't like really
Well, and you
any
have to
kind of
drive.
bug.
Like if you're in there alone.
Did I ever tell you the first day I got my driver's license and I got into a car crash because a little spider came down?
First day?
First day. I had just gotten it hours before. Slammed into the curb, had to go into the shop. My dad was pissed.
Oh, I bet he was so mad at you.
It's spiders for me,
so
though.
mad at you. All right, on that note, we'll go
Does smoke kill spiders?
Yeah, well, then we're in good shape. If smoke them away. I wonder if it keeps our mosquitoes away. You know how some people do smoke to keep bugs? I don't know about that. There's a verify. Let's look at our forecast, and we'll talk about that. Yeah, we've got some changes on the way eventually, but it's going to take us a few days to get there. And this is really a fluid situation. Literally every hour when we check these readings, it can change on you. So 55 will be the low tonight. The rain will be ending, and we get cooler, right? Tomorrow, the sun returns, but we still have that code orange alert, which means unhealthy for sensitive groups. We're not in the red, which means unhealthy for all of us. But some of you, even if you don't put yourself in that category per se, you say, well, I'm not really sensitive to anything respiratory, but you can still feel it. I know we've had some people talk about that in the newsroom today, and you can see it on the map. If you look up right around where the word New York is on the map, that lighter, what looks like clouds, that's actually smoke. And that's where it is the absolute worst in New York State and around Manhattan. The air quality forecast for us, by definition, we are orange today and tomorrow, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups and kind of right in the middle. But when you look at hour by hour observations, we actually tick down one category to moderate. This is just in the last hour. So still, the forecast means worst case scenario, we could still see orange at any time, but the hour by hour observations are looking better, at least for now in the short term. That can change on a dime. So we'll let you know. Hazy sunshine Thursday and Friday. We've got highs in the mid 70s, about 76 degrees for the next couple of days. Going to hold that code orange for that time period as well. We'll see how the weekend progresses, but Saturday partly cloudy and 80, 84 and a 20% chance of a shower Sunday. Better chance of rain, 40% Monday. We're in the low 80s and we dry out for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Buildings, but today things are a little foggy, and that's because of a wildfire that's burning all the way in Canada. Air quality
cover the damages. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Fast. Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together like a classic combination.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Here I am, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's time for my 2 cents. We can all appreciate a little back and forth banter. You make a joke and then someone else responds with another joke. It's all in fun, but sometimes what was meant to be a joke can be offensive. But how do you respond when someone says something that strikes a nerve? Do you just ignore them or do you say something rude back? A PsychCentral.com article offers some suggestions. First, pause and regroup. Try not to respond out of impulse. Evaluate your feelings so you can have a more productive conversation. Second, detach. Sometimes it's best just not to respond. There are people who enjoy getting a rise out of you and want to see you act out of character. Don't give them that satisfaction. Third, advocate for yourself. The article suggests using I statements to make your response less of an attack. For example, I feel undervalued when you say I'm not trying because I feel I give my best every day. Or I get frustrated when my ideas are not considered. Last, set boundaries. Make it clear that there are certain topics that you choose not to engage in. There's a popular saying, no one has power over you unless you give it to them. Remember that the next time someone says something that upsets you. That's my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now. Dead fish around campus, a moped on the roof, and graffiti on the wall. That's just some of the destruction deputies say students unleashed on Alamance Burlington school system.
Yeah, the district released these